So these are two quick things that you can quickly change in order to improve your results and to break through huge glass ceilings. Driven Mofos, welcome back. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about two quick little check-ins that you can quickly check in to see how you can break through glass ceilings, bottlenecks, and deal with problems that'll enhance your growth. Now, this is something that I use quite regularly because it just makes a massive difference. And I think after you think through this, or after I tell you, you'll be able to think through things differently, and it will just help so much. Anyway, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Michael Mojo. I'm the owner of Mojo Human Performance Institute, where we focus on business, mindset, and lifestyle hacking for driven mofos. The reason why I do this is because we are coming into some tough economic times. I know that there are a lot of businesses going broke. I know that the building industry is struggling quite a bit. I know that interest rates are going up, especially in Australia and America. Some economies are starting to struggle quite a lot. And so I thought, why not help more people by sharing a lot of the information that I have, by working with some of the rich listers that I've worked with, by working with people who are worth tens, hundreds, and even millions of dollars, and even billionaires. And also a lot of the stuff that I've learned around human performance and human behavior from coaching tens of thousands of people through our events or one-on-one. And so I really want to share these things that have helped me, but have also helped me grow my business and have also helped lots of other people. And I know that most people waste their life, and I just don't want you to be one of them. So anyway, let's talk about these two key things. So let's say you're wanting to grow. There's two changes that need to happen. The first one is normally a change in procedure. Looking at the procedure is, what is the structure or what is the strategy that needs to change? Most people keep doing the same things and they try the same things over and over again and then wonder why things don't work. This is when I used to be a personal trainer, over a decade ago. People would say, I've tried everything, Michael. And I'd say, you've tried everything but the thing that works. And it's just because most people keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Now, they might not think they're doing the same thing, but you can be driving the same car just with a different paint job. It's still the same car. And most people just keep changing things just enough to make it look like something new when it's not. And so when most people are struggling to get results in their business or in their life, they really need to look at what's the strategy or what's the procedure that I need to create that's going to help me to move forward. So in our business, when we're trying to get the team to do something different or something new, we will look at what's the structure, what's the procedure, and then how do we improve that, or what do we need to do differently? And by asking those questions, we can create a better strategy or a better procedure, which then helps us to achieve greater results. The first thing is procedure or strategy. The second thing is normally it's perspective or psychology. So when we look at it, if someone doesn't change their perspective or change their psychology, then they're going to keep repeating the same things. Now, Tony Robbins said this years ago when I attended his events back over a decade ago. But he normally says that things in life are normally 20% strategy, 80% psychology. If you give the wrong psychology to someone who has the right strategy, they'll still fuck it up. And for the business owners out there, you will know that if you can give someone the right steps and the right procedure to do, but somebody who isn't thinking clearly or isn't thinking effectively, or who essentially takes their brain out when they come to work and leaves it at home, and while they're at work, they'll just do dumb shit and make crazy mistakes. I really believe that most people in life don't get the results that they want because it's a human behavior problem. When people ask me, Michael, why do you do things differently? Like, I've got a business coach, and I go, that's awesome. I don't coach people on how to grow your business. I help you grow people. Now, I know that probably 90% of business problems are people problems. Whether it's ineffective staff, whether it's people not doing the right thing, whether it's people rocking up late, whether it's people making mistakes that cost the business money, whether it's the business owner's effectiveness or efficiency, whether it's the performance of all the people in the team. It all adds up. When you work with the sales team, it's very rarely a procedure problem. Like, that there's a couple of structures and a couple of strategies that someone might need to follow. But after having sales teams before, I know that I could give them the right script and they would still fuck up sales because they didn't have the right mindset. They didn't have the right mindset to be enthusiastic, to use the right tonality, to be able to engage with the customer. So they'll fuck up sales. They wouldn't put shit into the CRM. Why? Because they couldn't be bothered. It was a mindset problem. When you've got the marketing department, if the marketing department don't understand psychology and don't understand human behavior, marketing's going to be dog shit because you're dealing with people and you've got to try and persuade people into getting to know, like, and trust you and then take an action. That's essentially marketing. So if marketing's not working, that's a human behavior problem in 90% of cases. When you've got leadership problems, that's normally not a strategy problem or a structure problem in most cases. That's a people problem. And normally when there is structural problems in the business or a strategy problem or a procedure problem, most of the time it's because of ineffective thinking. So it's a human behavior problem. Really, almost all business problems come down to human behavior problems. Now, when I ask people, why aren't you getting the results you want in life? That's a human behavior problem. Now, if we had better thoughts and we had a better psychology, we could probably achieve way more than what we are. And I'm assuming that most people in here know that. So I don't build businesses, I build people that build businesses. So I'll build teams that build businesses better. So I'll work with sales teams or marketing teams. Why? Because human behavior is probably the biggest problem. Yesterday, I was involved in a meeting with a big property development company, and I got called in because I was working with them on culture. And having that right culture, essentially, if you have a good culture, your staff will fire the wrong people, not you. And that's why culture is so important, because the culture will say, hang on, we're a bunch of driven people. Like in our team, we're all driven. If you come and work for us and you're lazy and you don't pull your weight, my team will come to me and say they've got to go. And I have fired people or let go of people before because my team have said they are not right for this business. That's what you want when you have a good culture, but that's a behavior thing. So coming back to it, if you want to change and get better results, I would say that 80 to 90, if not 99% of the results that you want are normally in a psychological shift or a perspective shift. Once you change your perspective or change your psychology, then normally the last part of it is what's a different strategy or a different procedure that we can follow to get those results. I remember years ago hearing this analogy, but if you're essentially trying to build a car or bake a cake, I'll use bake a cake as an example. If you put the ingredients in the wrong way around, you'll still fuck up the cake, even if they're the right ingredients. When I look at that, I go, why would someone do that? It's not that hard to figure out how to bake a cake because you just get online and do it. Now that's normally a psychological problem because they're not looking things up before they're doing things. Number one, that's a behavior problem. But secondly, they got the wrong strategy. So that could be it. In this day and age, we're in the information age, so it's not hard to find out how to make things work. That's the easy part. What I find in this day and age is it's not information that is unavailable that's the problem, it's the implementation of that. And that's why all of our events are implementation events. Because I have people all the time who go, I know how to change. And I'm like, well, why haven't you? We had this conversation 2 years ago and nothing's changed. Why? Because they have a human behavior problem. And the human behavior problem is that they just don't implement things properly. So all of our events are essentially implementation events, or all of our odysseys. So next time you want to make a change, just ask yourself these two questions. What's the perspective or the psychology shift that I need to have to get different results? Now, this will normally break down into a couple of different things. It'll normally be, what is the traits that I need to have? So it might be more courage, it might be patience, it might be I need to be a little bit more aggressive, it might be I need to be a little bit calmer. But they're traits. So if you need to build out your psychology, working on your traits is super important, because if you do that and you own those traits and you own them well, you'll be way more effective. Then next is, what are the emotions or the beliefs that I need to control? Because what you'll find is that most people's beliefs hold them back. There's this whole thing about, break your limiting beliefs. Beliefs are only limiting because we reinforce them. It's not that hard to figure out. Like when I hear this whole thing in the psychology and the human behavior field and they're like, break your limiting beliefs, break through, get rid of fears. You'll never get rid of fears. And anyone who thinks that that's the case, I will take them up to the tallest building in whatever area they're in and hang them off by their fucking feet. And I guarantee that they will have fears. They will shit their pants, because humans are born to have fears. It's a psychological response that we have to a threat. Now, if we don't have fear, then we're bound to do dumb things, and dumb things that may risk our life or our safety. So we need to have fear. What we need to have is we need to work on our courage in order to counterbalance that, and also work through our thought processes that then allow us to navigate that fear effectively. If you have a fear of heights, is that a bad thing? No, that's intelligent. Do you have a fear of heights that then stops you from flying, which logically doesn't make sense, because you can get in a car and drive and you're more likely to die in a car crash than you are in a plane crash? And is that logical? No. So there's a logical thinking part that's missing somewhere. Now, what normally happens is those beliefs get reinforced over and over and over again by a person, and that keeps building them. And then they start creating these things called neuroassociations where they start looking for it more. So when a plane does crash, they go, oh, remember that plane crashed 3 years ago? They don't even look at that 200 people died on the road in Australia this year, or 300 people, or globally there were 10,000 people or 50,000 people that died in car crashes. They will just remember the one plane crash where, 100 people died. That's a confirmation bias, and those confirmation biases reinforce the belief. If we need to change our psychology or our perspective, we want to look at what beliefs do we need to change? What are the beliefs that are holding us back? And then how do we change them into something that works more for us? Then we need to reinforce those new beliefs. What traits do I need to have? If you're impatient, like I am most of the time, I've had to learn this year. I write down most days on a little notepad that I have sitting on my desk, be patient, because I'm practicing the trait of patience. And that allows me to make better decisions instead of being reactive all the time and being fucking mental in the business, which then creates chaos. So That's a trait that I'm working on. That helps me to change the psychology because that psychology or that perspective is helping me to drive different results in the business and for the business to grow. We need to change the beliefs. We need to change the traits. Then we also need to change the language that we use consistently because the language reinforces the beliefs, which also reinforce the traits. So when someone wakes up in the morning and they go, oh, I have to go to the gym. I have to do this. They're reinforcing this pattern that they're a slave to these outcomes or these results. I have to do this. I have to go to work today. That is so shit, and it's a shitty way of living, and the majority of society do it. I would hate to wake up every morning and go, I have to do this. I have to wake up. I have to do this podcast. I have to work. I have to run a business. Most mornings when I wake up, I go, I get to do cool shit today. I get to wake up and I get to enjoy the things that I'm doing because I'm doing a podcast, which is, I love to teach. I also love to go to the gym and I love to exercise. I get to do that. I get to hang out with cool people. I get to help people break through their limitations. So I look at life as an I get to do, not I have to do. And I guess it's taken me a fair while to structure my life that way. But you don't get to structure your life that way when you keep reinforcing shitty language in your own life. That then just reinforces that you're trapped or that you're stuck or that life's fucked or that it's just shit. And that's how most people live. My alarm's gone off. I got to get up. I got to work. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then when you do that, you're going to reinforce a pattern that doesn't work. And I spoke on one of the other podcasts about the pendulum swing that happens inside of our mind when we live in the emotional center or the amygdala in the brain. Anytime you have an emotion, all emotions are bipolar. Now, I know this is probably going to upset people again, but it is fucking what it is. And I'm more than happy to show so much clinical research and all this on this topic. All emotions are bipolar. When you have a high, you have a low. When you chase happiness, it makes you unhappy in the same moment. And you can easily display this when you go to moments in people's lives, not when you generalize. When you let someone generalize, you'll never ever figure this pattern out. But the amygdala creates a polarity, and that polarity has its counterbalancing side. This is why you can't have a negative without a positive. Now, when people consistently reinforce a pattern of behavior where they have a high polarity, eventually over time, it will make them more emotionally volatile. When someone is highly stable, they understand that you can't have a positive without a negative, and both of that causes stability. So you'll look at life differently and you'll make different decisions, you'll make better decisions. But our emotions create volatile cycles and they reinforce a polarity. That polarity counterbalances or attracts its opposing side in order to balance us out. And the more unbalanced we are, the more emotionally unstable we become. So please remember that positive thinking is bullshit. It doesn't really work. What it does is it reinforces a polarity. That polarity creates its counterbalancer. You can't have, and this is just basic physics. So I know some people in human behavior field will argue and they can go, you can be positive. Every time I say to them, go to a moment where you're positive, in that moment, what was negative? And I can guarantee you, in their mind, they know when they're consciously aware of it that they have a counterbalancing side in their brain. And it does it automatically. So when someone says everything's going great in life, I guarantee in their brain, in those moments, they will be thinking about something negative in order to counterbalance that. And our brain does this all the time. And I show it live in my events. And it's wild because most people never experienced it or never even thought about it. But this gets reinforced by the language that we consistently use. Coming back to it. In order to change our perspective or our psychology, change our language and the language that we consistently reinforce by our self-talk and by the language that we use. The second thing that we need to do is look at the traits that we need to create in order to change the results that we're getting. So like I mentioned, I was very impatient. The trait that I needed to learn was patience. So I reinforce that I'm patient and I keep reminding myself every day, I need to be more patient. I'm more patient. I'm more patient. And I keep using my language to reinforce that trait. And when someone says to me now, you're calm. Like I had someone who come to my events that hadn't seen me for a couple of years. And they're like, dude, you're so calm now. And I'm like, yeah, because that's what I am now. Whereas before I was like, I got to get everything done. And I'm so like crazy. And I was just fucking crazy. There's probably like ADHD and throw in running on too much coffee and then stress and a lack of sleep and then exercising. You know, I was a hyperactive dude. I was just mental. Anyway, so that's the trait that I'm reinforcing. And then you've also got the beliefs that you reinforce. Those beliefs either help us to move in the direction that we want or they hinder our results. And most people, they keep reinforcing the beliefs that don't work for them. Life sucks. I'm so trapped. I'm so depressed. I'm so anxious. You know, I'm so frustrated. And so this languaging and these beliefs about why they're that way keep reinforcing themselves and they just end up more and more stuck. If we want to create great change, first of all, we got to change our perspective and our psychology. And I really, truly believe that 80 to 90, maybe even 95% of the results that you get will all be human behavior and based on psychology, which really blows my mind that when most business owners want to grow their business, they go and they learn more about strategy. They don't learn more about psychology. And it just blows my mind because I know that the majority of you listening here who are business owners know that you're probably 99% of your head fucks in your business are related to people. Whether it's customers, whether it's the way that your staff operate, whether it's the stuff ups that they make, whether it's the marketing process, whether it's the sales process and not getting enough sales. That's all understanding human behavior. If you're selling something, you're selling to a person. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the procedure. So this is the strategy to follow or the structure. If you're wanting to lose weight, but you're over consuming calories, then it's going to make your result impossible. That's what the data says anyway, or the research. By having incorrect strategy or an incorrect procedure, that's going to not work effectively. Whereas if your strategy is, I'm creating the right beliefs, I've got the right traits, I'm talking to myself the right way, I'm exercising where I'm burning excess calories or I'm burning calories, and I'm also limiting my food, which is reducing my calories. If you do that, you're bound to get the results that you want because you've got a psychology that works in with the strategy that works. If things aren't working, you've got the right psychology, then it's just the strategy that needs tweaking. And so that's where you hire a coach or you go and learn something new in order to help you with that. Sometimes if I have an injury, the first thing that I will do is I'll start working on my psychology first. And then after that, I start working on what's the strategy, which is why did this happen in the first place? How do we fix it? How do we work through it? And what's going to get the best results in the fastest timeframes? Now, sometimes I don't know how to do that, so I'll go and do research, but I also then go and hire someone who can help me with that. And then I did that last year, which is quite interesting because I had a lower back injury and a hip injury. And based on my past experience working in physical rehab and working in medical centers and stuff like that with people, and also, having a background in studying Pilates and kinesiology and all this stuff, I knew what the injury was. I knew why it was caused. And funny enough, it was actually a psychological pattern that created the injury. Really fascinating when I figured it out. And straight away, I knew that we had a physio who comes to our events, who is highly skilled at working with professional athletes. So I reached out to him and I said, hey dude, I need your help. Here's what I'm doing. What do we do? And he got me in. And because he had the strategy and the structure of how to do this, he helped me through it and helped put together a plan so that then I could just execute it. I'm probably stronger now and I'm probably fitter now than what I was last year. And I feel better now and I've got more energy and I have less pain in my body now than what I did when I was 21. So, that's how I think about life is get your psychology right, get your strategy right, get your perspective right, and then get your procedure right. Should you do that, you'll crank, you'll get results. If one of those two things is wrong, you'll fuck it up. The reason why most people stuff it up is because they don't think it's their psychology that's the problem. And that's the biggest problem that most people have. I hear from people all the time who come to our events or people that I talk to, and they say, I really want a friend of mine to come, or I want my family member, or I want my wife or my husband to come to the event because I'll get so much out of it. My question is, do they know that they have a problem and are they looking to solve it? Because most people have problems and they'll complain about them, but they won't do anything to solve it because they don't want to change their mindset and they don't want to change their psychology, because in order to do that, you have to be vulnerable. In fact, I actually got a message today from a client that I worked with years ago, thanking me for the changes that he'd made in his life, where he was able to go out and he bought, multi-million-dollar house, bought a couple of cars, built his life back up from absolute destruction where he was about to lose everything. And he actually sent me a really nice message this morning saying, thank you so much for everything you've done. And I said, mate, you don't need to thank me. You need to remind myself of, you're thanking you because you'd been told to come to me multiple times by friends and you never did it. And then one day when the shit hit the fan and you hit rock bottom, you actually made probably one of the best decisions, which was my mindset has to change and I've got to change the way that I operate and the way that I think. And you reached out to me and we worked through it and now you are where you are. So I can help you with the right strategy and I can help you to build the right mindset. But without having the right mindset in the first place, which is I actually need help, I'm not getting the results that I want, and really thinking through things differently in the first place, you would have never come to me. Most people that I meet say this, like they'll say, I've got a friend, I've got a family member, I've got someone who would love this, I've got someone who would, but the thing is that most people don't want to change, and they don't want to change because they're scared, they're afraid, they think that it's going to open up a massive box like Pandora's box and it's going to bring out all their shit and they don't know how they're going to handle it, and so they just hide away from it, and most people just close their eyes and curl up in a ball and pretend that everything's going to be okay. That's the reason why most people never get what they want in life. When you've got the courage and the right psychology in the first place to go, you know what, I'm not getting the results I want. I need to change my fucking mindset and I need to change my strategy. And you do that really, really well and you do it consistently. You'll consistently kick ass in life. But just most people don't want to do that. But anyway, I hope that this helps Driven Mofos. So just remember, procedure and perspective, or psychology, strategy. If you change those two things and you work through it, you'll kick ass in life. And then I've just broke it down in some other things. Anyway, Driven Mofos, I hope this helps. Also, if you haven't jumped across to our Facebook group, the No BS Business Hacks for Driven Mofos, jump across there. I have just launched a new training. Jump across there, check it out if you haven't already done so. There's an opportunity as well to either book a call with me or one of my team where we can go through as well and help you to clarify how you can get these results and perform at your best and get the results that you want. and I stand behind what we do, and this is why we do get good results with people. So if you're that person and you're ready and you're thinking, you know what, I need to fucking step it up, then please make sure you book a call with me or one of my team. I am still taking on calls at the moment. I do have a couple of events in the next couple of weeks, so I'm sort of, my diary's a bit full, but I do make time every week to help our community because it is important for me to keep you thriving. And what I know is that if I help you, I know that you'll keep helping me. That's a funny thing about life, is if you do the right thing by others, normally they do the right thing by you in the right way. And I really believe that not everybody does that, by the way. There's still people out there who are assholes and have no understanding of how other people operate, and that happens. But, I really do think that, if you get great results for people and you look after them, they'll tend to look after you as well. I know I've referred so many people to a lot of other people, a lot of other businesses that I've worked with over the years. And normally what happens is those numbers, I can direct call those owners anytime and they're always there for me because they know that I've probably made millions of dollars putting people through their businesses. Or, my chiropractor, I refer tons of people. I've got 2 or 3 chiropractors that I use. All of them have come to our events apart from one, but they're all really good. And so if someone has an injury, I'll send them to them. I work with a really good physiotherapist. I normally send them to them. My dentist, I've actually sent a heap of clients there because they do such a great job. And I think, if you're an average person, you expect average results. And so you work with average people. Whereas when you're someone who is driven for greatness, you want to work with great people and surround yourself with great people. And so normally when you find those great people as well, you want other great people to work with those great people. And so you refer a lot. I really believe that if I can help other people as well, it keeps helping me to build what I love and my dream, which is to be able to travel around the world and to do this on large stages with huge audiences and help millions of people. Not that I want to help everybody, I just want to help driven people to keep kicking ass, because I really believe that driven people are the people that make other people inspired in life. If it wasn't for all the driven people that I saw who had Ferraris and Lamborghinis and beautiful houses and great bodies, I probably wouldn't be as fucking driven as I am today. I would have just given up on life because I was a shit kid who was put in special classes. So I really think that it's important to look after the people who inspire other people in our society to be better. So that's why I do what I do. If you haven't already done so, please jump across to the Facebook group as well. So it's a No Bullshit Business Hacks or No BS Business Hacks for driven mofos. If you just go to the search bar and type in No BS Business Hacks, it'll come up straight away and you can just add yourself to that group as well. And you've also got the availability to book a call with me or one of my team. Yeah, we'll be able to help you to really clarify how you can keep driving ahead and get some awesome results in your life. Anyway, driven mofos, peace out. Never underestimate the dream.